Hello, my name is Jesse Levine. I work with TRC Marketing and we represent Coupe here in Colorado. And this is going to be a video training for a R2N machine. Now an R2N machine is a combination machine. And by combination, what that means is there's two functions it has, where you have a mixing bowl and you also have a vegetable prep attachment for slicing. It can do julienne cuts, it can do grating, quite a few tools. So what I'm going to do is just quickly show you how these features work and give you a little some tips and tricks on it as well. So first of all, when it comes to the mixing bowl, is a 3-liter mixing bowl, and with the mixing bowl comes a S-blade. This mixing bowl you would use for things like breadcrumbs, salad dressings, any kind of mixtures that you would, if you've ever used like a Cuisinart, anything like that. This is pretty much the same exact thing, and actually Coupe invented the food processor, so we all have Coupe to thank for that. So with the mixing bowl, it's extremely simple to use. Simply put in your S-blade, and then when putting on the bowl, you'll see the front handle is a little bit off center. The reason for that is there's a little locking pin inside the handle. So you put it off center and that locks into place. The machine will not work if you don't have it put in properly. So with the S-blade also, when you put the S-blade in, you'll see on the inside there's a flat end. That flat end will match up with the flat side of the shaft on the machine. All you have to do is just spin it until it falls into place. You'll be ready to go. For the lid, you can see there's a hole on the lid on the top, and that's so while the machine is running you can pour in liquids, oils, waters, whatever you may want to add without having to turn the machine off, open it and put it back on. So you can see there's also kind of 3 different wings. The biggest wing is the locking mechanism. So same thing on Coupe. Everything, you kind of just put it off center a little bit and then twist it until it locks into place. You'll know it's working when you hit the green button and it's running for you. Red is obviously stop or off, and then there also is a pulse feature, and I'll show you here. And then pulse. Pulse is like if you're chopping nuts, something that you don't want to mix too well, is a feature that you can use for that. Now, when using this machine, if you're, let's say, doing any kind of liquids, like a salad dressing or anything, you do not want to fill it over 2/3 full. Most would be about half is pretty good, or 2/3 full. The reason why is with the force of that blade going around, it can lift that liquid up and it could start coming out through the lid area. So once again, 2/3 at the most is what you'd want to have that on. Also, when it's time to take this bowl off, very, very important, is you must unlock the lid first. So you unlock that lid, lift it up, you're ready to go. If you don't unlock the lid, and let's say if you're just trying to get this bowl off and you pull too hard, it will shear the safety pin off on the inside. And that safety pin is there for everyone's safety, so the machine cannot run if it's not properly engaged. So just to give you an idea, blade is going, but if I turn that lid and take it off, the machine automatically turns off. Put it back on, turn, it's running again. When taking off the lid and taking off the bowl, if there's liquids in here, you're going to want to make sure that when you, once again, move it to unlock, lift up. If there's liquid in here right now, you still have the S-blade in there. Probably want to put your hand on there if you're pouring out into a container, because if you don't put your hand on that S-blade, the entire lid, the entire S-blade can come out and fall into the container. So something to keep in mind as well. So very, very simple to use. Very helpful tool. Extremely simple. So the next portion, and this is a fantastic part of this machine, is the veg prep attachment. So the veg prep attachment, same kind of thing. You have this safety pin feature on it right here. That safety pin feature is what turns the machine, lets the machine turn on or off and makes sure it's done correctly. Now, one thing that's a little bit different, you saw in the bowl, is that the handle is facing towards you. But with the veg prep attachment, the discharge chute here on the end, it goes out the back side of the machine. So once again, off center a little bit, turn to lock it into place, and you'll feel it lock into place. Once again, will not run unless it's put in properly. So just to give you an idea what this looks like from the side, you got the safety pin here, you have the discharge chute on the back side. Next thing is this disc right here. This is the discharge plate, or sometimes called a slinger plate. This is extremely, extremely important. This always has to go into the veg prep attachment. The reason why is this is what shoots out anything you're processing. So if you're slicing tomatoes, cucumbers, grating any product, this is what will shoot it out of the cutter bowl area and into a container. Without this, what can happen is that food has nowhere to go, and it's going to keep rising, 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 and it could end up pushing discs up into the lid. So always, always, always make sure that's on here. Once again, there's a flat side on the inside of this disc, which will match up with the flat side of the shaft. But it's very easy. All you do, you don't even have to line it up perfectly. Just put it on, turn it, and turn it until it falls into place. And then you're ready to go. So your machine comes with a 4mm slicing plate and a 2mm grating plate. So just to give you an idea of how this will work is you'll see there's on both sides of the disc, you have one side here which has a small little hole, and then you have this larger hole area. The larger hole is what you're going to put down first, because that's going to go into the area on the slinger plate with the shaft. So once again, flat can go to flat. Once again, you just turn it until it falls into place, and now the slicing blade is in there and ready to go. Next part, this is the lid for the vegetable prep cutting attachment system. So you can see you have two pushers. You have a cylindrical pusher, which you can use for like cucumbers, carrots, small vegetables, like smaller tomatoes, potatoes, things like that. And then you have the larger kidney-shaped pusher. And that larger kidney-shaped pusher, that's where you can fill it up all the way to the top, fill it up with tomatoes, potatoes, whatever it might be. And that way you have a lot more area to process quicker. So this has to go on to the top, and just like with the mixing bowl, the lid has to be on properly or else it will not turn on. So with this, you'll put it on, once again, a little bit at an angle. And I'll show you here. You can see as I put that on, it's on a little bit at an angle, it's not straight on. So I'll show you here again. And then once it's on, turn it until it locks into place. You'll know it's working correctly when you turn the machine on and it starts running. So with Coupe, it's kind of a best practice is to have the weight of your hand. And by that, what it means is if I turn this machine on right now with this cucumber in here, it will go ahead and process it. But some cuts might be thicker, some might be thinner, because there's nothing pushing it down. But it will go all the way through. So, kind of the rule of thumb is just the weight of your hand. So, got the slicing blade in there, just my weight of my hand. And by doing that, you have nice, even cuts. And it's extremely, extremely quick. But also, it depends on how you're putting the vegetable in. So to give you an idea, is if we went ahead and put this on its side, instead, now, by turning it on, because I put it outside, you have a nice long piece. So sometimes it'll just take some experimenting, working on the vegetables and the product that you're working on to make sure you have the exact cuts that you want. But same thing also as with the mixing bowl. Turn it on. If this lid gets turned, machine automatically turns itself off. And it goes back on once you put it on properly.
Yes.
So, also, when you're ready to take this bowl off, make sure you always take the blade off first. Then, if you choose, you can take out the discharge plate or you can leave it on. Either way, just turn it, lift it up, and you're good to go. So, that is how you use the vegetable prep. Once again, you can also do grating disc for like grating cheese, grating carrots, things like that. Another important thing to know is, let's say if you're grating cheese, if you are grating cheese, definitely grate cheese that has been, it's very, very cold. The colder the better. If it's warm room temperature, it can get very mushy. But if you're grating a lot of cheese, and let's say you're running this machine pretty consistently for a long period of time, and all of a sudden, after a while, the machine's not working. You can't get it to turn on, the lid's on properly, everything's on properly, but it's just not working. The best thing to do then is you'll see down here a little sticker with an arrow on it, and that is the reset button. Underneath here, there's a little button, just touch it. It's not spring-loaded. Some people think it's actually broken when they touch it because there's no resistance, but it's just a metal connector. It'll reset, and then the machine will be running well from there. So that is the R2N from Coupe. It's going to be a great machine.